Okay, so this is the third in a series of CSS rules that I've been talking about. The first video was about the @import rule. Second was about the font face rule. And the third one is @media rule. So let's hop over to W3 Schools here and talk briefly about the @media rule. And I'm going to just read from the discussion here. It says the @media rule is used in media queries to apply different styles for different types of media. So what does media mean? In class, I use the example of printing concert tickets. You go and buy your concert tickets, and you end up with all of the menus, the sides, the ads. But the minute you go to print that, it actually just prints your ticket that you've purchased, and it's a nice clean kind of output. The reason for that is that the media that is being considered here, that's being played out to, is a printer. So that's the media that we're talking about. So there are three basic types of media. There is print, obviously if used for printers. There is screen, which is what we're looking at here. And there is speech. So if you think about using VoiceOver on your iPhone or accessibility on your Android or Windows computer, it's going to read the screen. And so one of the things that you can do is you can kind of clean up the navigation, the style, the design by hiding different navigations. Very common voice um, kind of function would be skip to main navigation. So I might have a bunch of web page here and a navigation down the side that's further down the page. Well, I want my users to be able to who are using this by voice and listening to this web page to be able to skip to that. And so a lot of times what will happen is you'll have this skip to main navigation button here, and I'm using that for speech, the @media tag. I'm showing that. So it's something that would only show up in a web page that was being read by a screen reader. So that's one kind of function of it. So it's, like I said, accessibility is a great um, feature of this. I'm not quite sure how this works with some of the new home assistants like Alexa or Google, I guess, Home, I guess it's called, and then the Apple. Excuse me here, I have to turn you know who off. Alexa, cancel. So obviously, I have one of those Alexas, and I shouldn't say that name at all. Uh, yeah, Alexa, stop. Okay, we won't mention her name again. So um, that could be a great little research for you. But what you're going to do here is mainly use this for different screens. Right now, I'm looking at a laptop screen. Obviously, this has a certain resolution to it, so I could go up here and I could look at my screen preferences and say displays, and it's going to say default. I could say scaled, but let's see here. That's not going to tell me my default resolution. So it's obviously this has got a pixel width, resolution, and height. So there's a couple things to consider here is if I go to, I'll skip all of these attributes for now. I'll go to this example. What I can do is I can say @media screen. So it's saying it's using the screen type media. And, so this is an and, meaning if it's on a screen and the maximum width is 600 pixels, then do this. So what we're going to do is we're going to just play with this a little bit. I use this example in class. Notice I see over here the width is 783 by 746. And so if I were to click on this bar here and shrink it, as soon as I drop below 600 pixels, that div goes away. And you notice it doesn't just hide, it actually is display none. So the rest of the text flows. But you can imagine what this means for a mobile phone. You can hide and show menus. You can change kind of the layout of any of the elements, make them larger, make them more viewable on a mobile device. So there's a lot of advantages here. This is the most common way of displaying a web page currently for mobile phones. One of the examples I also gave in class, and see if I can find it again, was CSS mobile phone size. So I don't know if it'll show up responsive web design, media queries. CSS tricks is always a good resource. This isn't the one that I looked at, but this does give you some screen sizes for virtually every device. Look at this. iPhone 4, portrait, landscape. Notice I've got an orientation here in my ands, so I can say, I can get really specific about development for each device. You know, realistically, you're not going to do that unless, you know, you're not going to design for every single device. It's just too unwieldy. But you can devise, you know, build web pages for certain groups of phones and certain sizes. So you can see the pixel size here is roughly the same size. A couple of points here. So you've got here on this CSS tricks page, it says min device width. That's the device. That is the screen size. Well, on a phone, that doesn't matter. Your browser width and your device width are going to be the same. On a desktop or on a laptop, that that width can change. When I say width in CSS, it's the width of the browser, not the width of the device. If I say device, it's the resolution of the entire screen. So device width is the entire screen. Just width itself, without the device, is the width of the browser window. So if I were to come back here again to CSS schools, and if I can find that demo, here we are. Right now, this is set to max width. So obviously it doesn't use device. So for now, don't use max device width, use max width, and you'll have some control. So let's get into the nitty gritty here. And let's go ahead and just steal some code. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to my mobile rules. I'm going to paste this in here. So now everything between here and here is going to be considered for mobile devices. So I want to just really make this clear. If I push that down, notice that I've got two curly braces. I'm nesting it. So I'm nesting my styles for my mobile inside my @media tag. So for example, I've got a style defined over here for heading 2. I'm just going to copy that and I'm going to put it inside this. Now I don't have to rewrite or copy every rule, just the rules that I'm overriding. So if I want the font to stay the same, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to say, look, the font size now on a mobile device is going to be 160 pixels. So I'm going to save that. I'm going to upload it. I'm importing my mobile rules, so my mobile rules will come over. Everything's cool here. Let's go take a look. So here we are. So nothing has changed. I've got my style sheet here. And if I shrink this window down to 600 pixels, there will be a breakpoint. And it's not happening. Let's see here. Heading 2, font face. So let's change this to something a little larger. All right, so this is what happens frequently with web pages. They get cached. So I'm importing the CSS rules. So let's just go here and go rules.css. And then, of course, I'm also importing this. And there it is. So I want to just make sure that that's not being cached. So if I come back here now, hopefully that was the problem. It is not. I'm apparently having a problem here. So my heading 2, it's screen, it's max width. So I'm going to just move this thing up the chain a little bit to my rules page and just see what happens. Well, that did it. I don't know why. And close that. Let me see my projects. But you can see now when I get below 900 pixels, this thing breaks and it switches fonts or switches design. So you can see now I'm designing for mobile, desktop, mobile, desktop. I have to figure out why in the order of things it did not like being in that order. What else? So we've got screen width. We also have the and orientation. Let's see here, OR. Let's go just double check it here on 33 schools. Orientation landscape. Now this will not work. Oops. This will not work on my computer, my desktop computer, because I don't have an orientation for this. But on a mobile device, I would have an orientation. So I can play around with actually how this style works horizontally or vertically, landscape or portrait. Obviously, the other version is portrait. Let's just take a quick peek here at some of these other styles that are available. So features, hover, any pointer, aspect ratio, color. So read through these, color gamut. So this is all detecting what the resolution is, what the, how the device is responding. So you can see there's a lot of information about what's available to you. Hope this helps. Again, mainly look at the CSS here on CSS Schools and try that out in your webpage. All right, bye-bye.